Today, we're going to be looking at two of the most interesting productivity tools I've seen so far. So there's Google NotebookLM, and then there's HappyScribe. And by the end of this video, I challenged myself to see which one works best in your workflow, and whether you can skip one entirely or whether you can actually use both products for different problems. So let's get into it. Some people might be asking now, what actually is NotebookLM? If you somehow avoided hearing about it, it's Google's research AI assistant. So you can upload PDFs, websites, YouTube videos, documents, and suddenly you can now chat with them all. And it became famous for one feature in particular, audio overviews. Essentially, it turns your research into a podcast. It's one of those AI demos that genuinely make people stop and say, wait, that's actually incredible. And to be honest, I still think it is fantastic. But after using NotebookLM for a while, I kept running into the same problem. And it's not necessarily Google's fault. I think it's the way the product was designed. You create a notebook, you upload your sources, you finish your research, and then you move on. Another finished project, another place you'll rarely visit again. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that's actually not how I work. Because most of my valuable information doesn't come from PDFs. It actually comes from conversations, a client call, a podcast interview, a brainstorming session, a meeting, an interview, a voice note, a lecture. And that's exactly where HappyScribe starts. Because once every conversation becomes searchable, editable, summarizable, translatable, and connected to AI, it stops feeling like a transcript and it starts feeling like memory. And I think that's a really important distinction. Now, here's something I didn't expect. When people compare AI tools, they usually just compare summaries. Now, personally, I think that's the wrong comparison because now summaries are everywhere now. Claude can summarize, ChatGPT can summarize, Gemini can summarize. Now, the real question is, where does all the information come from? Now, NotebookLM understands documents incredibly well, whereas HappyScribe understands conversations. And those are two completely different workflows. Now, let's say you're researching a legal case. NotebookLM is fantastic for this. When you're working from reports, PDFs, evidence, academic papers, this is exactly what it was designed for. Now imagine you're running a consulting business. Every week you're going to be speaking with clients, taking discovery calls, running workshops, meeting with your team, interviewing customers. Your most valuable information isn't going to be sitting inside PDFs. It's sitting inside conversations. And unless you're capturing those conversations, they completely disappear. And that's the problem HappyScribe is solving for you. Then there's MCP. Honestly, I think people are describing this completely wrong. Everyone calls it an AI feature. Now, I don't think it is. I think it's context. Now, before MCP, every time I opened ChatGPT, I'd spend 5 minutes explaining what happened in yesterday's meeting. Now, it already knows. And that completely changes how AI fits into your workflow. You're now no longer starting from zero. You're starting from context. So you may be now asking, which one should you actually choose? Now, I'd choose NotebookLM if your work revolves around documents, research, academic work, reports, deep dives. It's genuinely brilliant. But I'd choose HappyScribe if your work revolves around people, meetings, podcasts, interviews, sales calls, customer research, because conversations compound. And the more conversations you capture, the more valuable your knowledge becomes.